Hello and welcome to my very first episode of
Angelina's Kitchen and Company. Coco and Company.
So first thing we want to do is either print out a recipe or find one on your phone or however you're doing this. Look over everything, check out all the ingredients, and assemble everything you're going to need for your recipe. Next, gather any measuring spoons, cups, bowls, or any other culinary utensils you might need to prepare your mise en place. Your mise en place is all your ingredients pretty much measured out and ready to go. So I need a half a cup of butter, so I'm going to have a half a cup of butter, which is one stick, ready to go in a bowl. I need a half a cup of shortening. I'm going to measure out my half a cup of shortening and have it waiting for me. I need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That's going to be ready to go, and so on. So today we're actually going to be making whoopie pies. I don't know who came up with the name Whoopie. It's a weird name, but that's what they're called, and they're delicious. So, first step is to turn on your oven to 375. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So go ahead and get that pre-started and get nice and ready. I have all my mise en place ready to go, so everything's here on the counter, measured out, ready to go, so I'm ready to start. I'm going to be using a KitchenAid mixer today. I have not tried this with a handheld mixer, but I don't see why it wouldn't work, so if you have a handheld mixer, you can go ahead and try using that. I would not recommend doing this by hand because I have not done it by hand, so I don't really know how that's going to turn out, but I'm using a KitchenAid. So I have my softened butter already in the bowl, and I'm going to start by creaming this. So I have it on low to start, and I'm just going to crank it up a little bit to medium, get it nice and creamed. In the meantime, I'm going to start mixing my dry ingredients, making sure everything is very well blended. I have all my dry ingredients in here, my salt, my cocoa powder, flour, baking soda, everything dry that's in the recipe. I'm just going to make sure this is nicely blended. Okay. So next stop on the whoopie train is to go ahead and add my sugars now that my butter is starting to cream. So I'm going to go ahead and add my granulated sugar, and I'm doubling the recipe, so if it looks like it's more than what I have listed, it's because it is, it's double. Next, I don't use brown sugar. I never keep it on hand. But I do have organic molasses that I like to use, so if you don't have brown sugar and you do have molasses, you can use that. I typically use about 1 tablespoon of molasses for 1 cup of granulated sugar. If you like it dark, that's probably a good ratio. If you like a light brown sugar, or your recipe calls for a light brown sugar, you can go a little bit less, like maybe half of that amount. So maybe 2 teaspoons or 1.5 teaspoons would suffice for 1 cup of granulated sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in too, instead of my brown sugar. Just another cup of granulated sugar with a tablespoon of molasses. And I'm going to cream that right into my butter. And I'll have to check it out. So as you can see, the butter and the sugars are creaming together nicely. A good medium speed is probably good for this. You just want to make sure everything's well blended. No frozen or hard chunks of butter in there. Alright. So as this is going, I'm just going to go ahead and start adding in my eggs. I did put the vanilla extract in with the eggs. It's just easier and less of a mess. Rocking and rolling. Move up a little bit. As you can see, there is some sticking to the side, so I'm going to stop it, and I'm just kind of going to scrape it down. Nothing serious. I'm not taking the KitchenAid apart or doing anything crazy. I'm just scraping it down a little bit. Okay. Let me go back down. Alright, so I think that's ready to start adding the flour. Okay, so we're ready to start adding our dry ingredients in. So we're going to go ahead and start doing it little by little. So I'd say go ahead and start with about half. Just to make sure it's all very well blended and you don't get a flour shower. There's nothing worse than flour all flying up and getting in your face and all over your kitchen. So we'll start with that. And then, you know, just kind of maybe turn it on and off a little bit just to get it blended before you let it go by itself on full speed. This is just something I like to do to keep the flour from flying up. I just turn it on and off just until it's blended just enough that it's not going to fly up in my face. I think we're good. Alright, so you can see it coming together. As you add that, you can also add a little bit of your milk. So I have 2 cups here. I'm probably going to add about half. Slowly add that in. Just want to make sure everything's very well blended. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and just repeat what we just did. So we're going to add the rest of the flour, the flour mixture. Okay, and then same thing, turn it on, lock it in, pulse it a little bit. And slowly add some of the milk in. So as you can see, it's pretty thick. That's the consistency that we're looking for. Kind of like a thick cake batter, thin cookie dough. Definitely make sure not to over mix at this point. So once it's pretty well blended and, you know, has a nice smooth creamy look, you can probably stop it at that point. So I think we're almost there. Crank it up just a bit. And you can see I have, for my KitchenAid, I have mine on too. Okay, I think it looks good. Let's turn it off and move on to the next step. Okay, so now the batter's ready and the oven's ready to go, so we're ready to start making our footballs. So the batter is nice and thick. It's pipeable, but it's not wet. It sticks to the back of a spoon or spatula. You know, it's pipeable, it's thick, it's not too wet. It's just a nice consistency, just like what I said, like a thick cake batter or a thin cookie dough, or very similar to the consistency of a cookie dough, a cookie batter. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I got some disposable pastry bags from Meijer. I got the 12-inch Wilton disposable pastry bags. You can use a regular pastry bag if you have one, or you can use a Ziploc bag and just cut a hole in it. Whatever works for you. I already had a round tip. I don't know if everyone has a round tip just sitting at home. So you can just cut a hole in the bottom of the bag and just do it that way. So I have just a, an easy amount to work with here. I have myself a half sheet tray ready to go with parchment paper on it. And I have a template that I made. I can usually do it freehand, but I just wanted to show you guys that I did make myself a little template with footballs. And I have this available for anybody who wants to use it, as well as the recipe. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to go ahead and put this little football template, because we are making football shaped whoopie pies, but I'm going to go ahead and just put it underneath the parchment paper, and then as you can see the shape, and you can just go ahead and trace it, and it makes it really easy to have a nice uniform product, so everything is the same. Okay, next up I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Okay, so now I'm just kind of tracing my little template here, and trying to stay in the lines and follow it the best way I can. It's actually pretty easy. I'm going to do a few more, and then I'm going to show you guys how it looks. And like I said, you can do this freehand as well. It is sticky, so if you have to smooth it out, you can. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how I'm doing this with one hand, so bear with me. I'm kind of just starting up at the top, following around, and then coming down in the middle. See? So it's not perfect, but it's good enough, like, for something like this. Down in the middle. Start at the top, come around, back up to the top, and down through the middle. Okay, once these are all piped out, I'm going to go ahead and put them in the oven for 12 to 14 minutes. The oven is at 375. So after 12 minutes, I'm going to check on them, and if they're set up, then we'll take them out. So after 12 minutes goes by and you see them, you're just going to want to check them. If they're firm, firm to the touch and have a slight, bounce back, so nice and spongy, they're ready to come out. So I'm going to go ahead and pull them all out. And I do have a couple other trays that I've been rotating as well, so those still need to stay in there. As you can see, I've made quite a bit so far. I think this is enough football shape Whoopies for now. But once these are cool enough for you to actually remove from the pan, you're just going to take them off and then let them finish cooling on the counter or on a cold tray, because right now they're still a little too hot, so we're going to wait maybe another 2 minutes for those. In the meantime, I think this is plenty for what we wanted to do. So with the remaining batter, I'm just going to do some circular shaped ones because I'm actually kind of tired of following the template. So I'm just going to do this one hand just to show you guys. It's pretty easy, just you don't really have to follow a template, just kind of, let's see, start in the middle and just, you know, work around, make yourself a little circle, and then just keep doing that if you want to. This is just what I'm doing. You can, this is just how to do a regular whoopie. So as you can see, there are plenty of football shaped whoopies, but remember, I did make a double batch. They've been sitting here cooling on the counter, so now that these are cooling and everything's out of the oven, I'm ready to move on to my American style buttercream that I'll be using as the filling for these. Okay, so we're ready to start on the American style buttercream. Now, American style buttercream is, some people love it, some people don't care for it much, some people say it's too gritty, some people say it's too sweet. There's many different styles of buttercream out there, but this is kind of my go-to buttercream if I want something that's going to crust. And considering these sandwiches are going to be on a platter and they're all going to be touching each other, I want the buttercream to crust so that it's not smearing all over the other cookies and getting all over people's hands and, you know, just getting messy. Plus, for the detailing on the top with the little stitches in the footballs, I want that to crust as well so that it's not messy. So I'm going with an American crusting buttercream. This is my recipe, but you can use any American style buttercream that is a crusting buttercream. So we're going to go ahead and start with my KitchenAid mixer. I have the paddle attachment on, and I'm just going to go ahead and put my butter in. The butter is softened, but if you did not think of softening your butter ahead of time, you can just throw that in the microwave for 30 seconds. It's not going to hurt anything. I'm also going to add in my palm shortening. Palm shortening is my favorite to use when I'm at home, just for regular small batches that I'm making. This is the brand that I like. It's called Spectrum shortening, so it's palm shortening. You can get this at any grocery store. I love it. It's smooth and creamy, and it doesn't have that greasy mouthfeel like Crisco, or like a regular thick margarine or anything like that. I love this. And you do need the shortening because it does help create the fluffiness and the emulsion of all the ingredients. It helps to prevent that grittiness, that thick grittiness. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this. So this is going, getting all nice and creamy and smooth. Once that's blended out pretty well, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to put my salt in. Don't skip the salt because it does help cut on some of that sweetness a little bit. And then I'm using clear vanilla extract. In this recipe, you can get away with using a regular vanilla extract just because of how long this whips for and how much air is incorporated into it. You're not going to see the discoloration, but when I'm working with white frosting, I do like to use clear. So I'm going to go ahead and add my clear vanilla extract. Blend that a little bit. And now I'm going to start to add my powdered sugar. I am not measuring my powdered sugar because I kind of like to do it by eye. but I know that this has about 3.5 cups in it. For the recipe, you're going to want to start with about half of what your recipe calls for. So my recipe calls for 6.5 cups, so I'm just putting this whole bag in. And then like we did earlier, I'm just going to pulse it so I don't get the powdered sugar shower in my face. I do recommend sifting your powdered sugar beforehand, but for this recipe, I never really do because it whips for so long. It kind of all gets broken up in there anyways. So I kind of turned it up a little bit and letting it go. And now I'm going to add some more powdered sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little at a time. And if you see that it's starting to get dry, where it's not blending anymore, now you can go ahead and start adding a little bit of your liquid. So I'm using half and half. You can use half and half or milk. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit. The recipe calls for 1/4 cup. The more liquid you add, the fluffier it's going to be. And thinner as well. Okay, it's thinned down enough and ready for me to add some more powdered sugar. So I'm just going to add a little more powdered sugar. A little more of my liquid. So we're just adding the powdered sugar and the liquid slowly until it reaches the consistency that I'm looking for. I actually feel like I don't have enough. I feel like I would like it a little thinner. So I'm going to get some more half and half, so I'm adding a little bit more than what the recipe called for. And really, something like this is all about consistency. You want to follow the directions, but the directions are really just guidelines. You're going to have to look at it yourself and make the decision yourself on what consistency you want. Okay, so I added probably a couple more tablespoons to mine, and it looks like it's going to be a lot easier to pipe out and, you know, get the shape that I'm looking for. So now at this point, you're just going to turn it on medium speed and then let it go for 8 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timer and just kind of set it and forget it. And I actually also forgot to mention that if you don't like a super sweet buttercream and the American buttercream is just a little too sweet for you, you can add a couple squeezes, no more than a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, or you can even do a lemon extract, not as much, maybe about a half a teaspoon of lemon extract or 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice, and that will help cut the sweetness out of the buttercream so it's not too overwhelming. But this is a really good buttercream, and I don't feel like it's too sweet at all, so I think you'll like it. now that this is whipping, now is actually the perfect time for you to clean up the area and get everything ready for the next step, which is going to be assembling and decorating the whoopie pies. Okay, so the buttercream's ready, and it has a really nice, smooth, creamy consistency. So it's going to be really nice to pipe. I did try it. I think it tastes good, and I'm happy with it. So I'm ready to start decorating my whoopie pies. So first, I'm just going to go ahead and decorate the round ones I did, just to show you guys that one first. So just go ahead and flip half of them over, like I did with these ones. One upright, and then one flipped upside down, and then this is where you're going to put your filling. So I'm just using one of my disposable Wilton pastry bags that I got from Meijer. You can continue using whatever you were using earlier, a Ziploc bag or a regular pastry bag, or these work perfectly. So I'm just doing a thin layer of the buttercream because it is sweet and I don't want it to be too overpowering. But if you like buttercream, you can do a thick layer. So just go ahead and do a circular layer. And I am using one hand, so cut me some slack here. Okay, perfect. Once they are piped out, you can just go ahead and sandwich them together like such. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish those, and then we'll pick up right after that. And it's important to remember when doing these that when you are piping and working with American buttercream, it does dry and start crusting pretty quickly. So you're probably going to want to do about 4 at a time, and make sure you put the lids on them as soon as possible. The longer they are exposed to the air, the faster they're going to dry, and then your top may not stick. So now I'm starting on the footballs, and it's pretty much going to be exactly the same thing. So we're just going to pipe them out and then put the cap on. So I'm going to go ahead and do all those right now. Okay, so I've started decorating my footballs. I just have another fresh bag, and I don't have the right size tip. So what I did was I just cut a little hole at the bottom of this tip and kind of just tested it out to make sure it was going to give me the size of lines that I wanted. So let's see if I can do this with one hand, but here we go. Mistake there, but it's okay. Remember, it's just frosting. It's not going to be perfect, but they'll get the idea. Okay, so here's the finished product. I'm actually so happy with them. I think they turned out super cute. I definitely made a lot of mistakes along the way, but this actually was my first time doing these. And I think I would actually make them again. The regular whoopies were obviously a lot easier without all the details, but I just think they're so cute. This recipe, doubling the batch, gave me 50 whoopies. So as you can see, they're pretty big too. They're about 2.5 inches long, so it's a decent size for someone. So 50 whoopies I got. 50 whoopies. So half of a batch is actually plenty. So now that the whoopies are done, there's only one final thing to do, and that's to get the thumbs up from the official food tester. Here we go. I hope he likes it.
Hi, I'm Elias, the official food tester. Now, what I'm going to be doing right now is trying out the food to let all the people out there know, and all my fellow football fans, if this is actually good product. Angelina usually does a very good job at what she does, so I'm pretty excited.
Slight crunch.
I think we got a winner here. So now that I finished this one, I think I'm going to have another one. It was pretty good. It tastes kind of like an Oreo cookie. Soft, sweet, chocolatey. I think you guys will enjoy it very much. Enjoy.
So there you have it, folks. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to leave you with one final thought of the day, and that is, to whoopee or not to whoopee? That is the question.